Yeah, Jay, you had mentioned that the contacts are ongoing, and they up to this present day you're still in contact.
Yes, it's all the time. I mean, it's over the last 14 years. It's happened more than 100 times, as you know, as other people know. But it's like we can't stop it. It's like he's connected, and we're trying to understand everything that's being presented, not only with my contact, my physical contact, but with other people's information too. And we're learning a lot. I mean, we've come to understand pretty much why it's an ongoing process and why they're here, why they're interested in not only what we're doing, but maybe what we're not doing. And it's not about the preservation of the earth. It's not about the ecology of the earth. It's about the evolution of life. It's about the connection that we have to them and what that means, what it means to them, about how life needs to be preserved and needs to evolve on its own scale. And it's a global scale and a universal scale. It's not just on an individual scale. The connection between human life and extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional life is so intertwined. It's so connected that we are literally part of them and they are literally part of us.
So they have like a significance to our evolution. It's something meaningful with our evolution towards them, and they need to monitor that or help it along.
I think from time to time, over the centuries, humankind have been given a helping hand as far as evolution goes. I think they've steered our evolution and helped to enhance it and make it progressive in the intelligent direction. But there's more to it than that. It's come so far that we understand that the evolution it's an evolution in consciousness and in physiological conditions. In other words, not only is our spirit, energy, our life force going to evolve, but so is our body, so is our physical state of being. Maybe entering into several other dimensions and expanding our consciousness to be aware of these other dimensions. It's very complicated and it's very complex, and it takes hours to fully comprehend just a little bit that we know now. But we are in a process of ongoing evolution with them, together with them. We are connected to them. We are linked to them by our evolution, by their future, and by our own future. And all of the criteria, all of the information that's been said in the past that, we are cattle, or we could be food, or we could be enslaved by them, that's really not what I'm talking about. That's not what we're learning. What we're learning is that there's a connection as if they are our brothers. They are our DNA children, and we are their children. We are related and connected to them in ways that we can't comprehend. We, as in human understanding of science, we may be part of their hope for the future. We may be them in the future. They could have found a way to traverse time and space, knowing information that happens in the very, very, very far future, maybe millions and millions of years in the future, and they've come back to correct small changes to ensure our survival so that they survive. We may be them in the future. And I know that's difficult for people to follow, but that feeling and indication we are now space, and we are conversing at this moment. One of them is a physiological situation. Another one is a spiritual situation. And those two things don't necessarily go down the same path all of the time, but they're both moving forward together. And sometimes there needs to be a connection made between those two to make a spiritual jump of evolution. And from time to time, when those two different paths touch, we experience different momentum, different speeding up of sorts, where the changes in our lives, the changes in our world can be almost visually seen. And we're going through some of those times now, some of those rapids of change. If you think of it like a river, sometimes a river moves very slowly and calmly, and other times it moves very quickly, as if it's going, being pinched off, and it's narrower, but yet it's more violent, because it's going through these rapids of change. And that's what we're coming up to. We are coming to the point where mankind is going to be changing some of its own dynamic structure of consciousness, and we're going to be in some turbulence and feel that turbulence, and then there'll be other times where it's slower and more gentle. And that's what we're learning. We're learning about these different times and about what it means and what they're trying to tell us. But they're telling us that we are important as a species, but we're also more important because of our connected situation with other life in the universe, with certain forms of other extra-dimensional and extraterrestrial life forms. We're not alone. We're connected. And that consciousness connection and biological connection is as important as anything, to understand that we need to embrace that. We need to be open to understanding those things, because without it, we could be left adrift. We could literally be a species of instinct that could be extinct in the future. So it's kind of a matter of understanding the little bits and pieces, the nuances of what they've been trying to tell us for years, maybe for centuries, and to better interpret what they're telling us on a daily basis. Look, people are in physical contact somewhere around the globe daily. People are having contact daily, not just once a month or once a year. Some people are having it on a daily basis. I myself go for 2 or 3 weeks where I am not in contact, and then all of a sudden they'll show up, every couple of days, or even sometimes every couple of hours, trying to impress upon me, trying to leave an impression of information. And the reason I say it like that is because it's not a straight communication. It's not just a language where I need to sit down and understand that there's a talking conversation, but it's an impressionable block of information that's left each time that we need to go back and try to translate and try to interpret and see where it fits in with the rest of the information. I can't have all the answers all at once. I wish I could. It's so frustrating to me not to have the complete information. But I know I have so much more by joining forces with people all over the world who are in contact. We are so close to clearly understanding what they are here for, what they are doing, and some of that information, some of those ideas of why they're here are not something that you can just release haphazardly to the public. You need to be careful. You need to understand that this information, without a solid foundation, can make people feel fearful of the changes that are coming. So we need to be responsible for this information. And that's what I've learned. I've learned that I have to be responsible for the gifts that I've been given, the opportunity that I've been given to understand this information, understand the situation that I'm in, the situation that other people who are in contact are in, and the situation that our world, our humanity is in. And we need to be very careful on gathering this information, interpreting it, and then releasing it to the proper time and place so all of us can benefit. Because otherwise, it becomes a disservice to all of us just to throw information out on the table. And I know there's people who will counter that statement and say, well, you know, we're all in the same boat and we all demand that you just release this information. Well, there's a responsibility to this. Okay? If you stand in a theater and yell fire, people will run and cause great damage to the masses. And that's a true statement. It's not a fantasy. You have to be very careful what you release and when you release it, and that it's supported with the right information so people can understand it. Otherwise, you're throwing gasoline into a flame, and that's part of the difficulty of understanding what we do know is that it has to be done slowly and carefully so that it benefits the majority, not just the minority.
Okay.
And that's the process.